First and foremost, all thanks and praises unto our power, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Warakakwadash. Peace, blessings, and much respect to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, on down to the rest of the elders who rule well within Israel. Salutations to the hopeful elect throughout the four corners of this whole entire earth, no matter where, whom they may be, or what they may look like. Pushing out this purified truth to the rest of the church who believe as well. You men who may not be teachers or prophets, you women, sons and daughters also. The water, that means thank you to Yahweh Shai, because without him enduring and going to that cross for the world of Israel, and the world of Israel alone, none of this would even be possible whatsoever. Alright? This is the book of Sirach, also known as the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 3 and verse 17. My son, go on with thy business in meekness, so shalt thou be beloved of him that is approved. So we are supposed to handle this business, because this is indeed a business, with meekness. Going around talking about you're a part of the number one camp is not going around in meekness. When Yahweh Shai walked the earth and he was among his disciples, they weren't going around talking about we're the number one group. They just taught the gospel. Those who could receive it could receive it. Those who didn't receive it just didn't receive it. It is what it is. Okay? We're not in this ministry to exalt ourselves. We're not in this ministry to come off like we're flawless off of our own works. Okay? We have our flaws. We're not perfect. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai gets all the glory. If there's any remaining glory that he doesn't want and he decides to give it to us, cool. But men trying to take honor upon themselves while also pretending to be humble is very deceitful. Okay? Cutting men off in your camp in the midst of their speech, always having to get the last word, always trying to one-up a brother, always trying to expound or go deeper than what a brother did just to show that you're deep. We are supposed to be in this ministry, this business, with a meek spirit. Alright? My son, go on with thy business in meekness, so shalt thou be beloved of him that is approved. The greater thou art, the more humble thyself, and thou shalt find favor before the Lord. So if you're great, you're going to be humble. But the more humble that you are, the more greater that you are. And there's a lot of men who don't walk around in meekness. There are men who will rather watch IUIC just to talk about them later, watch ISUPK just to talk about them later. But when it comes to men who may be brand new, men who get one view of video, they don't watch their videos. They don't uplift them. They don't acknowledge them whatsoever. But they'll keep acknowledging these false prophets. Okay? You even have certain men who are in the spirit of respecter of persons. Okay? Not even just men in camps. There's men outside of camps who play that respecter of persons as well. Okay? Like it's a thing among certain men who I love, men who I still deem as brothers, because I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I'm telling the truth. But there are men, every time they hear sirens go off, you know what they'll say? They'll say when judgment is on the scene, or when how do they say it? When the prophets are on the scene, judgment comes in between. Shout out to Yahweh. I hear Yahweh get more shout outs than Yahweh Shai at times. I hear Yahweh get more shout outs than other brothers, as if other brothers don't matter. You know what I learned in school? If you ain't going to bring candy for the whole class, just don't bring any candy, so to speak. So I use that metaphorically. If you're going to uplift one brother, uplift other brothers as well. People have this clique-like mentality, which it's okay that you cleave to certain brothers more than others, but you still got to understand, we are brothers in this truth. And you shouldn't be, outcasting one brother because he's not a part of your inner circle, so to speak. Okay? And keep that meek spirit. Verse 19. Many are in high place and of renown, but mysteries are revealed unto the meek. So mysteries are revealed to the meek. The Lord's elect are going to receive these mysteries because they're going to walk with a meek spirit. The Spirit is going to reveal who are the Lord's. And you're going to know based off how they treat each other. Okay? Not cutting each other off in the midst of their speech, or always having to get the last word, or you always have to be frontline in the videos. Other brothers ain't growing. Okay? There are brothers who have been holding sign for years. It's like, brother, you should be talking. You should be on camera. You should be edifying. You know, certainly you have something to say. All right? There's just a lot of funny stuff that I notice in Israel, and I'm not scared to talk about it. But I'm always one to put his neck out there and look crazy while others act like, you know, certain things aren't happening. But I'll be that guy. If I have to be a thorn in your foot in righteousness, so be it, man. Okay? Seek not out things that are too hard for thee, neither search the things that are above thy strength. But that's kind of going into something else. But the point being, we have to be in the spirit of humility. Not trying to be arrogant or be lord over brothers, or trying to come off like Mr. Know-it-alls, although we have an unction to know all things. We still have to carry ourselves in the spirit of meekness, more so when you're around brothers. Okay, especially when you're around fellow believers or dealing with fellow believers, and not having other men feel secluded while others feel included. That's a respecter of persons. Okay? John chapter 13 and 1. Now before the feast of the Passover, when Yahushua knew that his hour was come, that he should depart out of this world unto the Father, having loved his own which were in the world, he loved them unto the end. And supper being ended, the devil having now put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him, Yahushua, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he was come from God and went to God, he riseth from supper and laid aside his garments, and took a towel and girded himself. After that he poured water into a basin, and begun to wash the disciples' feet, and to wipe them with the towel wherewith he was girded. So Yahushua, when he was among his disciples, he washed their feet. Yahushua was showing how great he was by being humble. Okay? Many men who are in these camps and outside of camps, they're not very humble. Now, it's one thing to be bold in the spirit, to be confident, but there are men who are not humble. And you can show that you're not humble based off of how you are or are not towards your brothers. Okay? If brothers say something and it's in the spirit, but you act like you didn't hear it, that's a sign of being arrogant. Okay? When brothers say something, if you feel it isn't right, instead of pretending like you didn't hear it and you just go on teaching what you're teaching, which is being arrogant, all right, you're going to be checked for that. Because if a brother's going off, you need to tell that brother he's going off instead of pretending like you didn't hear what he said. Okay? Because a lot of y'all do that. Okay? When somebody says something about y'all, just like, what's that dude? You know, for an example, he was with Sakari. His wife ended up exposing him. But he had put out a video about how certain men, including men in Great Millstone, didn't always carry themselves the best. But instead of men being accountable and saying, hey, that's true, you know, we're not perfect, no one said anything. But when his wife outed him, exposed him, everybody jumped on him like a swarm of bees. But nobody said anything about that video he presented, showing some of the bad examples of not only men in other camps, but also men in Great Millstone. Nobody had anything to say. See, there's a lot of arrogancy, a lot of respecter of persons, a lot of men trying to be in the forefront, trying to be the #1 group, and they're not in this for the sake of truth and teaching this gospel. Okay? So you better wake up. Okay? After that, he poured water into a basin and begun to wash the disciples' feet. Yahushua was one to be a servant unto his own servants. Some of y'all just want to be the man. You want to be frontline and then pretend that you're humble. Or you're selectively humble. You're humble when you choose to be. Or when the spotlight is on you. but that's not really who you are. Okay? Or you're humble towards your inner circle, but when it comes to other fellow believers, you want to outcast them. Okay? And to wipe them with the towel wherewith he was girded. So Yahweh Shai showed extreme humility. Yahweh Shai showed that he was a friend. And just as he did with us, we're supposed to be that same way towards our brothers. Okay? This is John chapter 13. Jump down further in 34. A new commandment I give unto you, that ye love one another, as I have loved you, that ye also love one another. Yahweh Shai loved his brother so much that not only did he wash their feet, he laid down his life for us, man. So you got to imagine that. And I believe I was there. I believe I'm the one who saw this account along with other men. I know it so much because Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai has opened my mind to receive it. I teach the Bible, I break it down. So if anybody has a problem with me stating my claim, prove me wrong. But this ain't about that. Okay, that's not even what this is about whatsoever. The point being, this being in the book of John, and yeah, I say I'm him, okay? It's important that we understand that being brotherly towards each other and not trying to be lords over one another, trying to one-up one another, not being forgiving to one another, you slandering a brother behind his back, making things up, or making something more than what it is, okay? Brothers better understand one of the key things of being in this ministry isn't just teaching the Bible, it's also being a brother, how you are towards fellow believers. A new commandment I give unto you, that ye love one another as I have loved you, that ye also love one another. By this shall all men know that ye are my disciples, if ye have loved one to another. So if you have loved one to another, you show that you are of Yahweh Shai. But you trying to be the top guy, pretending to be humble, cutting men off in their speech, okay, not acknowledging other guys under you, uplifting them, exhorting them, showing them, hey, keep fighting, it's okay. Instead of always wanting to watch camps who are, you know, mainstream, so to speak, who are in the eye of the general public, you'll forget about your other guys who are in your camp who no one talks about. You don't exhort them. You just want to be the #1 guy for a lot of you. Okay? It's just the truth. You might think I'm attacking or bucking up against certain people. I'm just telling the truth. Okay, that's all I'm doing. And if anyone has a problem with that, so be it. I don't care. Okay? This is 1 John chapter 4. This is the book of 1 John chapter 4 and verse 20. If any man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother, whom he hath seen, how can he love God whom he hath not seen? And this commandment have we from him, that he who loveth God love his brother also. And you have to love your brother. You can't just say it in word. You have to show it in action. It has to show. Okay? If brothers have a point, let the brother make his point. Why do men have to be cut off in the midst of their speech? Okay, why do men have to be buried, suppressed? Why do certain men always get to talk and other men are in the background? Why are there camps where there's so many men, instead of being separated and spread out, y'all want to be gathered together just to look deep? You know these things are true. Okay? And y'all are mad because there's men like me who tell the truth. I'm up front. And this is why a lot of people hate me. Just like at my job, you know, I do my job, I handle my business, I keep to myself, but I'm also very straightforward when need be. You know what I mean? So that gets me a lot of hate. And that's okay. And this commandment have we from him, that he who loveth God love his brother also. So if you claim to love Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, you're going to love your brother. And that also takes a sense of humility to put your brother, just as you would treat yourself, to put your brother as important as you would look at yourself as important. Or in even some cases, putting your brother before yourself. Okay? This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 15. This is Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 33. The fear of the Lord is the instruction of wisdom, and before honor is humility. So the more greater you are, the more humble you're going to be. We all want that crown, I would assume. I know I do. But we're not going to receive the crown being arrogant. We're not going to receive the crown wanting to have lordship over our brothers. Okay? Let's go to the book of Mark, chapter 10 and verse 32. And they were in the way going up to Jerusalem, and Yahushua went before them. And they were amazed as they followed, they were afraid. And he took again the 12, and begun to tell them what things should happen unto him, saying, Behold, we go up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man shall be delivered unto the chief priests and unto the scribes, and they shall condemn him to death, and shall deliver him to the Gentiles. And they shall mock him, and shall scourge him, and shall spit upon him, and shall kill him. And the third day he shall rise again. And James and John, the sons of Zebedee, come unto him, saying, Master, we would that we shouldest do for us whatsoever we shall desire. So this is right after Yahushua was explaining that he was going to be crucified and killed. And the first thing that came to the mind of James, and I'm going to say me because I know that's who it is, and myself, the first thing that came to our mind is we want to sit on the right hand and the other on the left. But Yahushua had to correct them. Okay? It says this. And see, this is also why certain men don't like to watch my videos. I've seen men post up videos within the first 10 minutes. The video just got uploaded. Within the first 10 minutes, they'll get all these likes or whatever. And I'm not hating. I'm just saying. They'll get all these likes within like the first 10 minutes of the video being posted. And you haven't even finished the video yet. Okay? And then the video might not even really heavily be going into the scriptures like that. You have men literally uploading videos of another man's video. And then calling that a video. Anyway, let me get to my point. And he said unto them, What would ye that I should do for you? They said unto him, Grant unto us that we may sit one on thy right hand and the other on thy left hand in thy glory. So after Yahushua is mentioning being crucified and killed, the first thing that comes to the mind of the sons of Zebedee, the sons of thunder, okay? We want to sit on your right hand and the other on your left. Okay? Now this is what Yahushua said. But Yahushua said unto them, Ye know not what ye ask. Can ye drink of the cup that I drink of, and be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with? And they said unto him, We can. And see, when they said that, they wanted to sit on the right hand and on the left of him, but they didn't understand they're certainly going to have to drink of the cup. But they didn't fully understand what that meant. What all comes with that. The hell that they would have to catch. The rejection that they would have to catch. Okay? How more intense the spiritual battle will be for you in comparison to other men. Okay? And they said unto him, We can. And Yahushua said unto them, Ye shall indeed drink of the cup that I drink of, and with the baptism that I am baptized with shall ye be baptized, which goes into the afflictions. But to sit on my right hand and on my left hand is not mine to give, but it shall be given to them for whom it is prepared. Now Yahushua didn't upfront tell them, yeah, y'all are going to be with me in my kingdom, but he was saying, at the end of the day, those who are mine, those who have certain positions, it's already predestinated for them. Okay? But little did James and John know, Peter would be the one granted to be on the right hand of Yahushua, which would make John, his beloved disciple, to be on his left hand side. Okay? I'm left-handed, by the way. But that would make John to be at his left hand side. Okay? Now, Yahushua and the Heavenly Father, this shows that they're different entities but in agreement. The Heavenly Father chose Peter to be the head of the church. Yahweh Shai's favorite disciple, or his beloved disciple, was John. Okay? But John isn't the head of the church. Peter is. Alright? It is what it is. Now let's go on. This is the book of James chapter 5. This is the book of James chapter 5 and verse 9. Grudge not one against another, brethren, lest ye be condemned. Behold, the judge standeth before the door. So we can't be holding grudges. Brothers got to be forgiving. If a brother has offended me and you still teaching, I forgive you. Okay? Brothers have, treated me funny. Things have been done that I found very shady. But for the brothers who have made me feel that way, I do forgive y'all. And I'm not going to out y'all and put y'all's name out there per se, because I haven't talked to y'all per se. But any brother who may have offended me, I forgive you. But we have to do our best not to offend brothers. And when brothers offend us, to not hold those grudges, especially brothers who are still teaching, brothers who are still fighting. Okay? You shouldn't be praying for brothers to fall out. Okay? Because certain men are like that. Grudge not one against another, brethren, lest ye be condemned. Behold, the judge standeth before the door. So we're being watched. We're being examined. So we have to be very careful on how we treat one another. Very, very careful. Okay? Ephesians chapter 4. Ephesians chapter 4 and 32. And be ye kind one to another, not trying to be lord over one another. Yeah, we're men. You shouldn't have to tiptoe around men, but you shouldn't be disrespecting men either. Just being flat out disrespectful when you think a man's supposed to take it because he's in this truth and he's supposed to be humble, or you're over him in the body, in the church. Okay? Let him that's, my bad, Ephesians 4 and 32. And be ye kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Mashiach's sake, hath forgiven you. So we do have to forgive one another. And we have to treat each other good. We have to have that brotherly love. Okay? And we have to let each other know when each other's going off. That's a form of love too. Okay? Now let's go to the book of Romans. This is the book of Romans chapter 13. And verse 8. Owe no man anything. So don't be putting yourselves in debt with brothers. If you tell a brother, hey, could you loan me such and such, I'll pay you back. Pay that brother back, man. Okay? And if there's delay on payment, explain to the brother what's going on. But seek to pay that man back if it's in your power to do so. Okay? But if that man who you gave the loan to doesn't pay you back, so to speak, don't hold a grudge on that brother. Give it to the Lord. But nevertheless, the one who took that loan, you need to be seeking to pay that loan back to that brother. Owe no man anything but to love one another. For he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law. So we are supposed to love one another. And it shows how we treat each other. Not trying to one-up one another. Okay? You secretly getting a brother's woman's number behind his back. And you trying to counsel his woman. You ain't no brother. You an enemy, man. Okay? If a brother who was in your camp, let's say he fell out the truth. But somehow you got his woman's number. And you counseling his woman. You not a brother, man. Okay? There are things that show who is a brother. Alright? For this shalt thou not commit adultery. You wouldn't sleep with your brother's wife if you love him. Thou shalt not kill, so you wouldn't murder your brother. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness. And men do that. Men bear false witness on one another. Just like you have other camps who say that men in GMS are rapers and all this and that. That's false witness. That's not true. Okay? Now, you have men in GMS who say, well, if you're not a part of our camp, you're not a man of the Lord. You're bearing false witness. That's not true. Okay? Thou shalt not covet. If there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Love worketh no ill to his neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law. And men have a problem with that. They have a problem showing that they're brothers, or being a brother, or just being a fake brother. You're pretending to be humble, but your actions show different. You can't be humble behind the scenes, but then it doesn't show on camera. Or you're being humble on camera, but behind the scenes, you're not doing that. Okay, who you are is who you are. Okay, you might be able to fool others, but you can't fool Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. None of us can. Okay? Period, point blank. This is Psalms 54. Psalms 54 and verse 4. Behold, God is mine helper. The Lord is with them that uphold my soul. So brothers are supposed to be uplifting one another, not bringing each other down. Okay? Now, there's a particular man who's in Great Millstone. And I'm not doing this to disrespect him, but I'm using this as an example. The brother gets like maybe 1 or 2 views a video, man. He's of Great Millstone. Great Millstone is a camp, which means there's a collection of brothers. But I don't see brothers on his page giving him a shalom or asking him if he wants to do a what do you call that? When you do like a video with another brother, you basically land back with another brother. Y'all do a video together, or you let them know, hey brother, shalom, I see you, keep going. You don't do that with brothers that are small in y'all's camp. But for some reason in particular, when brothers are established, when they have a fair number of subscribers, then you'll reference him and tell others to subscribe. But when brothers are buried, so to speak, and their views aren't being really out there, y'all don't even talk about them. And then you'll say, well, we're not in this for the views. You know, this is about pleasing the Lord. But you're being fake because you're still not exhorting that brother. You're ignoring the point. Okay, these are the things that men do. You can be the greatest teacher, so to speak. That don't mean you're of the elect. Okay, there's men who I believe could be men of the Lord. That don't mean they are. I would hope they are. Okay, because overall, your conduct outweighs how much wisdom you have. Okay? Behold, God is mine helper. So Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai has been mine helper. You know, hey, brothers don't call me or try to link up with me or ask how I'm doing. How you holding up, brother? Because I'm not a part of their camp. But I wasn't a part of their camp when I met brothers and there was no problem. Brothers just got funny. Okay? I remember a certain situation. I'm not going to out nobody and put no names out there. But I was in Chicago and I had met a brother. And as we was introducing ourselves to one another, he had asked about my situation. I told him I teach alone. And he gave me this look like he was surprised. He's like, dang, you teach alone? I was like, yeah, but I be teaching with the brothers in Kansas City here and there. You know, when I say here and there, I mean like here and there. Literally, I've only taught with them brothers maybe 3 times. Okay, so at that time, that might have been like my 3rd time or so. I don't know. But there hasn't been that many times. But when I told him that, his eyes lit up. He was all surprised. He was like, dang. He kind of got offended. Like, they don't be trying to come and link up with you? I was like, nah, usually I just link up with them. He literally went to go talk to one of the dudes at the camp, and I ain't going to say who, but I feel like after he did that, dude got funny with me. And I didn't ask him to go talk or say anything. All right, but even he knew that was funny. You know, there are men in Great Millstone who are sincere, but there's other men, they want preeminence. They want to be in that dominant position. They want to be the leader. They want to be the guy that gets the girls. They want to be the guy that's always in the spotlight. They want to be the guy that gets the last word, that expounds deeper than the last brother. Okay? Behold, God is mine helper. The Lord is with them that uphold my soul. And we're supposed to uphold one another. We're supposed to exhort one another. Those are the men who the Lord is with. Not ignore brothers' problems. Okay? There are things brothers can do for free that cost no money, and brothers won't do them. Okay, if you see your brothers getting one view of video, why won't you be the one to hit the thumbs up? Why won't you be the one to stick around, tune in for at least 10 minutes, whether it's live or pre-uploaded? Okay? Why don't you stick around and thumbs up the brother's video? Be the first thumbs up. Okay? Because a lot of y'all, you're not of this body. You're not in the spirit. You're not who you say you are. And I know I am who I say I am. And I don't need y'all's validation. Okay? Y'all haven't validated me anyway. Which shows this is deeper than me just making things up. Because I don't get nothing out of saying that I am who I say I am. Okay? But it doesn't take away I am who I say I am. But a lot of you are not who you say you are. Okay? I'll bring out another scripture, and I'll probably just go on ahead and wrap this up. This is the book of Galatians. Here we go. Galatians chapter 2 and verse 4. And that because of false brethren unawares brought in, who came in privately to spy out our liberty, which we have in Mashiach Yahushai, that they might bring us into bondage. You have men in this ministry trying to bring other men into bondage. You have other men spying, trying to get you locked up, trying to slander you, pretending to be humble, but they're secretly trying to overthrow you or using them or using you for their agenda, for their cause. Okay? So you have to be careful. Just because a man throws on a garment and he says he's an Israelite doesn't mean he's sincere, or he's not a secret agent, or he's not there as a plant to destroy you, to deceive you. All right? There are men who have crept in unawares. They didn't come in through the straight gate. They're coming in some other way. All right? And they think that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai don't see them. Okay? And that because of false brethren, unawares brought in, who came in privately to spy out our liberty. And we get a sense of liberty being in this ministry, which we have in Mashiach Yahushai, that they might bring us into bondage. So you have to be aware. You have to be aware of false brethren. You have to be aware of the deception that's going on among Israelites. You have to be aware that just because a man is new does not mean he's insignificant. He could have been in the truth, just came in 3 years ago. He could be one of the 12. But you thinking the 12 must be a man who's been in this ministry 20 plus years. The 12 could be a man who just came. One of the 12 could be a man who just came in 3 years ago. And y'all will shun him. Y'all don't accept him. Okay? Y'all think, oh, because you're some elder or because you've been in the truth for X amount of years, everything you say is gospel. But everything that certain men say isn't even backed by the words of the Lord. Okay? Certain men are not walking according to the works that were shown by men before us, but are doing things contrary. Okay, Yahweh Shai even told us concerning these false prophets, leave them alone. Okay? I said I close it. I'm going to close it when I close it. All right? This is Matthew chapter 15 and verse 14. Let them alone. They be blind leaders of the blind. So IUIC, they're blind leaders of the blind. Leave them alone. ISUPK, they're blind leaders of the blind. Leave them alone. Why do you feel the need to always talk about these guys? Okay, there's also men in Great Millstone who need to be checked. There's also men in Great Millstone in leadership positions who don't always carry themselves the best, who don't always take accountability for certain actions that were immature actions, but are quick to call the beehive to jump on, someone else outside the camp or someone who leaves the camp. Okay? Somebody speaks ill on you, the whole camp jump on them. But you have certain men, when people speak ill on them, no one comes to their aid. Let them alone, they be blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch. So if people want to follow behind IUIC, ISUPK, which I do have a respect for them, they're Israelites, but they're not teaching the whole truth. If people follow behind them, so be it. Leave them alone. Our job is to just teach the gospel. Just teach the word. Okay? to keep bringing up other guys or to keep bringing up you're the number one group, talking over people. All these things are not signs of a brother, man. Okay? It's signs of someone with the ulterior motive. Okay? And men shouldn't be in that spirit. None of us. Okay? So I'll go on ahead and read Jeremiah 9 and 4 and I'm going to wrap it up. Jeremiah chapter 9 and 4. Take ye heed everyone his neighbor, and trust ye not in any brother. For every brother will utterly supplant, and every neighbor will walk with slanders. And they will deceive everyone his neighbor, and will not speak the truth. They have taught their tongue to speak lies, and weary themselves to commit iniquity. So we have to be aware. You constantly got to be on your toes. Don't just think because a man's wearing a garment and he's calling Yahweh and Yahweh Shai their Lord, doesn't mean they're in the spirit. Okay? Just because someone's been in the truth for X amount of years doesn't mean they're in the spirit. Now, they might be a man of the Lord, but they might not be in the spirit in that particular moment. Okay? Because we're all just men. We all go off. We're all capable of going off. All right? But we still have the ability to observe, to see and do, not see and do, to see and observe things that other men are doing, and to be able to weigh out whether it's wicked or it's righteous. Whether Yahweh Shai would like that or he wouldn't like that. Okay? You got to weigh men out. You got to be careful. You got to really be circumspect. Okay, even with me, when you watch my videos, listen to what I'm saying. Don't just, because you might like me, just give me a pass. No, everything matters, man. What I'm saying, the doctrine I'm teaching, am I backing it up with the scriptures? Am I coming up with my own doctrine? Am I winging it? Okay, am I just freestyling like I'm in the booth? Or am I saying, thus says the Lord? Am I in the spirit? You got to have the spirit to measure that out and know. I pray that this lesson, it was simple and edifying. You know, brothers got to really snap out of this nonsense that brothers be in, man. There's a lot of nonsense going on among Israelites, and y'all are going to be found out. All right, lest you repent. You could be of the elect, you know, and you come out of that nonsense. But some of you are not showing signs of someone who's as sincere as they come off, or as spiritual as you may seem. But with that, all praises unto our power, the power of Israel, not the power of any other nation. Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Shalom.